Welcome everyone as we record the special segment for the Shabbos table earlier than usual this week because I'm going on Thursday Be'ezus Hashem Yisbach to Florida, where I will be a scholar in residence in Hollywood, Florida, in the shul of Rabbi Shrek, which if you're there, I hope you'll join us for Shabbos, where I plan to speak 5 times. Also, I hope to be planning to speak in the yeshiva of MTA. If you, my wife and my Rebbe and I plan to spend 2 weeks in Florida, based in Deerfield Beach. If you know of any shuls or schools that are interested in me speaking of me Mabitz Torah, please call me at 718-916-3100. This segment for the Shabbos table is specially sponsored by the Rubin family for their Gesund Parnas and Nachas, and also with the special request from Hashem that they should be zeicha to a healthy Ben Zachar. They also sponsored the primary Chumash here this week, and we're very grateful to them. It says, Va'avonim tiyena al shmois b'nei Yisrael, the stones, the precious gems, which are on the Choshen, they will have the names of the Bnei Yisrael, Shteim Esrei al Shmoisam, 12 with their names, Pistukei Chaisim, engraved like with a signet ring, Ish al Shmoi, every man with his name, Tiyena Lishnei Eser Shav, will be for the 12 Shvatim. And we know that inside the fold of the Choshen was the Urim V'Tumim, and when the Kohen Gadol, or the king, posed the question if they, for example, would be successful at battle, the letters of the Shvatim, according to Rabbi Yochanan, protruded out. According to Reish Lakish, it's a machlokes in Masechtas Yuma, how it happened, but they either protruded out or they flashed out with a light, and they gave the answer. So the Gemara in Yuma asks, but wait a second, in all the names of the Shvatim, there was no tzadi. So how could it give an answer? If it needed a tzadi, how would it give an answer? So the Gemara says, it says Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov also. And of course in Yitzchak there's a tzadi. So then the Gemara says, but even with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov and the 12 Shvatim, there's no test. So the Gemara says, it also says Shiftei Yeshurun. And the word Shiftei, there's a test. Now, Rav Moshe Yitzchak, the Av Bezdin of Panovich, once gave a drasha in the rarefied Beis Medrash of Chaya Adam in Grodno. And in his drasha, in Parshas Tetzaveh, he asked that, why does the Gemara ask on the tzadi? It should have asked first, there's no test. That comes first in the Aleph Beis. And we could say that, and there's no ches, which comes even earlier. So he says a very big chiddush. He says that the Gemara was troubled, and I'm sure everybody that has a casual reading of the pasuk is troubled. It says in the pasuk, "Va'avonim tiyena al shmois b'nei Yisrael." Shouldn't it say, "V'shmois b'nei Yisrael tiyena al ha'avonim," and the names of Bnei Yisrael were upon the stones, not the stones had upon them the names of the Bnei Yisrael. So he said that the Gemara initially thought that on the name of the stone would be written not just the name of the Shevet, but also the name of the stone. And therefore, Va'avonim, the name of the stone, Tiyena al Shmois B'nei Yisrael, would be together with the Shmois B'nei Yisrael. So in that way, with the name of Shimon would be Pitita, the topaz. And with the stone of Achlama would have Achlama, and the stone of Rekes would have Rekes. So the Ches and the Kuf and the Tes would be taken care of. The only letter that's not in any of the stones and in any of the names is a Tzadi. And therefore the Gemara, that's why the Gemara asks first on the Tzadi. Then when the Gemara answers that it also said Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, so now the Gemara understands that it didn't say the name of the stones. When it says Avonim Tiyena al Shmois B'nai Yisrael, the Avonim, the stones where the Shvatim were carved from, refers to the Avos HaKadoshim. Like in the pasuk of Moshe, Roya Even Yisrael. So Avonim is Av Ben. So it has, that's why it says it. And therefore once it has Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, in the name Yitzchak you have 3 of the 4 missing letters. You have Tzad, Ches, and Kuf. And that's why then the Gemara asks, but what about the Tes? And the Gemara answers, the Tes, it says Shiftei Yeshurun. And he answered, Moshe Yitzchak from Panovich concludes brilliantly that the Shiftei Yeshurun is also hinted in the pasuk, because the pasuk says, "Bituchei Chayshim Ish al Shmai Tiyenu Shnei Asei Shavet." So it also says the idea of Shnei Asei Shavet, and that's Shiftei Yeshurun. I had another thought about the Gemara, why the Gemara asks first, why doesn't, there's no tzaddik on the Chayshin? Because the Gemara is troubled, Taka. Why in all of the Shvatim is there no tzaddik? The tzaddik represents righteousness. Why is there no tzaddik in the name of the Shvatim? And so you'll be tempted to say that, ain't tzaddik ba'oretz asher yasa tov v'lo yechateh. There's no perfect person. But you can't even say that when it comes to the Shiftei Ka, because it says Binyamin were one of those people that were maced only be'ityo shel nachash. They only died because of the klala to Adam and Chava, because of the sin of the nachash. Otherwise it says Binyamin never sinned. So Binyamin was perfectly righteous. Why is there no tzaddik, especially since it's brought down in the Medrash that the only shevet that had an ayin represents Aveira, Avain. The only shevet that had an ayin is Shimon, which it could be read Sham Avon, there is sin, because of the fact that of the terrible sin of the Nasi of shevet Shimon, Zimri ben Saul, with Cosby Batsur, the Midianite princess. But everybody else is righteous. Why is there no tzaddik? So here we have to turn to the Yalkut Shemaini. The Yalkut Shemaini says, Bikesh Yaakov liglois esaketz. At the end of his life, Yaakov wanted to reveal the Geula, and bolstered by the fact that he saw that in none of the names of the Shvatim was a ches or a tes. And that revealed to him that there was no hate. There was no sin. So that's, instead of a tzaddik, it did the other way around. There's no ches and no tes. The Shiftei Ka were perfect people. There was no hate. And Yaakov would have done it, but then he saw that there was no kuf and no tzaddik. And he said that's a sign that they're not supposed to know the kates. They're not supposed to know the end of time. It's all very interesting, the chachma that we see in the names of the Shvatim. For example, Yosef has the only one that has a samach. And the reason why Yosef has a samach is a protection. And it says by Yiska Basar Tachtena, samach, because the woman is the protection of the husband. That's why she walks around her chassan 7 times. There are 2 very important symbolisms. First of all, she's building walls around him that he shouldn't sin. Now he has a wife. He has pas besaloi. He has, so to speak, bread in the basket, so he doesn't have to think about anyone else. Hashari b'lo yisha, shari b'lo chayma. It's also brought down that she walks around him 7 times, signifying the walls of Yerichai that came down after 7 times to symbolize that she's showing and praying that all the walls between them should come down and that they should achieve perfect closeness and perfect intimacy. The Samach in the case of Yosef is because Yosef was the wall of protection against Esav. It says that Yosef was the lahava, the flame that protected Yaakov from Esav. The Urim Tumim throughout the years flashed out fascinating advice. One of the more famous examples of advice from the Urim Tumim was when Eli saw Hannah and she was swaying in prayer silently, and he thought that she was a shikura, a drunkard. And Eli asked the Urim V'Tumim, and the Urim V'Tumim flashed out Shin Chaf Reish Hey, which he thought corroborated what he said, that she was a shikura. The truth of the matter is that it really didn't stand for shikura, it stood for kashera, that she was a righteous woman. Now here, the Gaon says, no, it doesn't stand for kashera, it stood for kesara, which is of course much more than just kashera. It's not just telling Eli that she was a worthy woman, but she was kesara himenu, much more than just kashera. I always had a question on this vart of the Gaon, because I could understand that Eli made a mistake if the shin of Shimon flashed out or protruded out. It could be shikura, it could be kesheira. But if it was supposed to read kisara, then the sin of Yisascha should have flashed out. And now you can't mistake with shikura. Right? So I always had a question on the Gaon. Of course, it's my lack of understanding, but this is the information that we got from the Holy Urim V'Tumim. V'asisa tzitz, you should make a tzitz, that's the golden plate, on the forehead of the Kayin Tar. Upitachta alav, and you should engrave upon it pituchei chaisim, like the engraving of a signet ring. Kodesh LaHashem. It had the words holy to Hashem. The Gemara tells us that tzitz was mechaper al azus meitzach. Tzitz was mechaper for a person's brazenness. Now, the Gemara in Arochin on Daf Tezayin Amud Aleph tells us Sheklal Yisrael Heim Azim Sheba Umais. They're the most brazen of the nations. Now, that's what it says, that we're an Am Kishei Yoref. We're stiff-necked people. At first, that sounds like something very critical. We're brazen people. The Chassam Sofer explains that it was necessary to give us this starkheit so that we could stand up against all the people that malign us, all the people that put us down, all the people that say dirty Jew, filthy Jew, all the people that say, wandering Jew, all the people that say subhuman people. We could be able to be steadfast. We know that we're an Am Kishei Oref, a stiff-necked people. And Rav Miller would say that this is necessary. When Sahela Gesat Mereba, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, Schutz Yagan Aleinu Val Kol Klal Yisrael. When he left Eretz Yisrael, the Hasidim said, who are we going to give a kvittel to? So he said, find a yid that has the numbers from the concentration camp on his arm, like my father, Olav Shalom. If on that arm he has the marks of the strap of the tefillin, he's still putting on tefillin, you could give him a kvittel, like my father. To be able to go through the horrors of the cattle cars, the ghettos, the death marches, the hellish barracks, the hellish food and working at the mines, at the racks, and to afterwards still keep Shabbos and raise Jewish families, closing a Rebbe, losing a wife and 11 children, and creating Mifal Hashas afterwards, and a new whole Choshev family, and Laniano Hospital, and a Chasidus in Union City, in Borough Park, in Netanya, in Yerushalayim. That's Am Kshei Eiref. But on the other hand, we know it says Az Ponim LeGehenna. And we know that when we clap al chet, one of the al chets we do is Kishinu Eiref. We were stiff-necked, we were stubborn. The stubborn person can't change. And life is all about change. Neshama is the same letters as Mishana. The stubborn person is in a very bad situation. And therefore it's a balance. That's why on the tzitz it says Kodesh LaHashem. That stubbornness should only be used for Kodesh LaHashem. It shouldn't be used in doing tshuva. It shouldn't be used in my way or the highway. It shouldn't be used in not bettering ourselves. Because that's the road to Gehenna. As panim leGehenna. V'ato tetzaveh es b'nei Yisrael lahalois ner tamid. And we know that the Torah is full of secrets and a lot of things, a lot of messages that you won't notice if not for our great Rishonim. So the Baal HaTurim says that the word Tetzaveh is the same gematria as Noshim Tziva. It's easy to figure out because Noshim is gematria 400. So Tetzaveh, take away the tough, it's Noshim Tziva. That women were commanded, and he says at the end of the pasuk, it says Lahalois Ner Tamid. Ner Tamid is gematria exactly 704, which is the same gematria as Bishabbos, which is 704. And it's telling us that Noshim Tziva, the women are commanded to light the candles, Lahalos Ner, on Shabbos. It's a special mitzvah for women. That's what with the special lenses of the Baal HaTurim. Here, when we're learning about lighting candles, Tzavos Bnei Yisrael Lahalos Ner Tamid, he found embedded in this pasuk that although you could argue Hadlakas Ner Shabbos, Kavod Kedusha Shabbos, they should split it. Maybe the man should do it one week, maybe the woman should do it another week, or maybe the man should say, look, I want to do it. No. Tetzaveh Noshim Tziva Ner Tamid B'Shabbos. And we know throughout the generations, it's a special mitzvah of the women to light the Shabbos candles. It's a great opportunity for her. It's a great opportunity. She gets dressed up l'kavod Shabbos. She gives tzedakah beforehand, and she uses it at a time to say special prayers for children Talmidei Chachamim. This famous story that Rabbi Scherer used to see his mother davening and crying, so he crept under the table to hear what she was saying as a little boy. And she heard us saying, I only ask from you, Hashem, that my children should be Talmidei Chacham. It lit a flame in him about how much his mother wants that he should be dedicated to the Torah. Of course, he was one of the greatest champions of Talmidei Chacham in the last generation. Now we know that Noshim Tziva, that this became a special mitzvah for the women, because Chava Kiba Neira Shel Olam, when she ate from the Eitz Hadas and caused death to mankind, she put out the light of the world. Ner Elokim Nishmas Adam, light represents Neshama. She extinguished, causing everybody to die. And therefore, women correct the sin of Chava. So there are some women that say, well, what a backhanded privilege. We blame the women and therefore we have to. It's the wrong way to look at it. When we stay up the whole night Shavuos to atone for the fact that the generation of Matan Torah overslept by Har Sinai, it's an amazing thing that we could do something to atone for those great people, for the generation of Har Sinai. When women have a chance to do their fraction of atoning for Chava, they acquire Chava in the next world as a Melitz Yosef. Every week, Chava, I do something to atone for your mistake. And then Chava becomes a great intercessor for them and for their family. It's a wonderful thing. People look at it the wrong way. But of course, that's not the only reason why the woman is privileged with lighting the candle. She's privileged because she's the one that is in charge of creating a home of warmth, of creating a home of light and cheerfulness. The woman is chachmois noshim bonsa boisa. The wisdom of a woman creates her home. So Yifia alicha is basic. A woman who's cheerful, who's upbeat. A woman who greets her husband with warmth, with happiness. She's creating a special aura in the home. Besides the fact that when she lights the candle, she's setting the stage that Shabbos is Zeichel B'riyas Ha'olam, the creation of the world, which the first creation was Yehi Or, let there be light. Now, there is a minhag, it's brought down all over, that the husband first lights the candles and puts them out. He doesn't blow them out. Jews don't blow out candles. The minhag of blowing out candles at a birthday, making a wish, is completely a Goyish custom. Jews never blow out candles. Narrowly kim nishmas adam. To blow out a candle on a birthday is completely not Toradic. And to blow out candles and make a wish, there's no such thing. If you'll see in shuls where they have by the Amud, when the Chazan davens, they light candles, they have a metal piece. And when they want to put out the candles afterwards, they use the metal piece to put out the light. They never blow. We don't blow with our mouth on candles. We put it out with our hand. But the minhag is that the husband lights the candles and then puts it out with his hand or with something else in order to facilitate that when his wife lights, it should go easier. That's called singeing the wicks, getting them ready. And I see that in the pasuk, there's a remiss to this, because we said va'ata Tetzaveh, and you should Tetzaveh, you should instruct. Tetzaveh, we said, the Baal Turim says is gematria noshim tziva, women you command, es b'nai Yisrael, with the men, with the b'nai Yisrael. Isn't that perfect? And by the way, the man doing it First of all, the man wants to grab a portion of this mitzvah of preparing for Shabbos. It's a beautiful thing to usher in. The man says, I want a portion of it too. Also, the man also could be mechaper. He also ate from the Eitz Hadas. But also, we know that the Gemara says that if you only have money for either wine for Kiddush or candles for Neiros Shabbos, the candles come first. Because Shalom Bayis Odif Tvei. It's more important, Shalom Bayis, that there shouldn't be darkness in the house. And we have to know that the Neiros Shabbos represents Shalom Bayis. And what better way to represent Shalom Bayis than for the husband and wife to do it in a team? That's Shalom Bayis. They're doing this wonderful mitzvah in a team. And by the way, the husband, when he lights those candles and puts them out, he could also daven for children that are tzaddikim. And just like she davens that her husband should only have eyes for her, he could daven that his wife only should have eyes for him. It's a good opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity. You know, I'm really grateful to the Rubin family for making this share possible. If you would like to sponsor the main share of Kitzisa, the Rubin family sponsored the Tetzaveh share because there was no sponsor for it. So I asked them and they agreed. But if you enjoy shiurim, take part of it. To sponsor the main share is 360 718-916-3100 rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you very much for joining us and have a really wonderful Shabbos.